Hey everybody, welcome to the Ballet Rising videocast. Today I'm really excited to be speaking with Claire Bayliss Nagar. She had an impressive career as a dancer, working with many of the world's top choreographers before joining the Batsheva Ensemble under legendary choreographer Ohad Naharin for 13 years. Today she's the artistic director of the Israel Ballet and the Israel Ballet School in Tel Aviv. Let's welcome her to the videocast. And here we are with Claire Bayliss Nagar, Artistic Director of Ballet Israel. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Pleasure. I'm very well, thank you. And it's a pleasure to talk to you. I'm very pleased to have this opportunity to have a chat with you. Yeah, it's great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to first go in a little bit. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how you started ballet, and just how you've gotten to where you are now.
Okay. Yeah, I was born in Birmingham in the UK. My mother was not a professional dancer, but she always danced all her life, and she was a dance teacher. And both my elder sisters did a little bit of dancing, but I really, really, really loved it. So really took it on seriously. And when I was about 12, I was 11, 12, I was very fortunate to be accepted to the Royal Ballet School in London. So I left home and went to the boarding school, and that definitely was the best thing I ever did. That changed my life.
Yeah.
Fantastic opportunity. It was a wonderful school, and I had fabulous time there, fabulous years, fabulous memories, fabulous opportunities, dancing on the Covent Garden stage in Nutcracker when you're 12 years old with Rudolf Nureyev. Can't be bad. We did all kinds of things like that. We sang in the chorus for Midsummer Night's Dream, and it was absolutely wonderful. It was a marvelous experience, a marvelous school. And then I continued on to the upper school, where there were 3 years of upper school, and I was in the graduate class there. And I performed with the Royal Ballet Company in all kinds of things, all their big productions. I just have the best memories ever from that time at school. And then I became a professional dancer. I didn't dance with the Royal Ballet, but I went on to dance in several other companies, both in London's Ballet Imperial, and I did a year in Lisbon, out in Portugal. And then I did some freelancing, all kinds of things. At one point, I put my pointe shoes to one side and kind of started singing and doing tap and tried all the kind of things that I haven't got to try as being in that very classical ballet school. But at the end, I went back to the full ballet, and I did 4 years of dancing in Italy. Then I got accepted into the Monte Carlo Ballet, and I did 7 years there. And then I met my husband-to-be in Monte Carlo. He was also a dancer there. He's Israeli. And then he came back to Israel. He returned to Israel, and a year afterwards, I followed him here. And he was dancing with he's more of a modern dancer, so he was dancing with the Batsheva Dance Company, and I was dancing with the Israel Ballet.
Oh, wow.
So I was actually 20 years ago dancing with the Israel Ballet as one of their principal dancers, and got to dance some very nice things. And that was kind of the end of my career. I sort of said, okay, hang up the pointe shoes. I was, 37, 38. Didn't have to, but I felt that the time was right. I wanted to start teaching and doing other stuff. So yeah, then I hung up my pointe shoes and started teaching all over the country. And then actually the company where my husband was dancing, the Batsheva Dance Company, invited me to come and start giving ballet classes there. And one thing led to another, and they took me on full time, and I became rehearsal director there, and I worked for Batsheva for 13 years, which was a wonderful learning curve as someone coming from the classical ballet to be working with Ohad Naharin and with the modern side of things. I learned a lot. I really learned a lot, and it opened my mind and my heart and my scope, and really I was very fortunate. And then there was a changeover at the Israel Ballet. The original founders of the company, Berta Young-Polsky and Hillel Markman, they founded the company in 1967. And I worked for them 20 odd years ago. And then it came to, time for a change. So the then artistic director, Ido Tadmor, invited me to come back to the ballet as company manager, which I did, and worked very closely with him and got on very well with him and stayed. And then he moved on, and there was another couple of artistic directors in between. And then it was my turn. A couple of years ago, I was made artistic director. And I've had some challenges along the way. We had a fire in the building. We had a flooding in the building. We had to move out for a few weeks. And now we've had COVID-19. So it's challenging, but it's good. Yeah.
Great.
So that's my story. That's the story of my career. I had a wonderful dancing career as well. I danced a lot. I danced a lot of things. I worked with a lot of choreographers, really a lot of choreographers, from very classical to very modern. And I think all of that, and then also having worked with different choreographers, more contemporary, more modern, it's given me my suitcase is very full. My toolbox is very complete. So it's nice. It's nice.
That's a very well-rounded career and study path and everything. I mean, you've worked with some really fantastic companies, and obviously coming from ballet is, I can't imagine how, growing up and being able to see those kinds of dancers in person on the stage. But wow.
It's something, and you realize as a child that it's important. You realize that it's special. But now looking back on it, thinking, wow, I was really on the stage and there and watching this all happening as I was growing up. I mean, it's so forming, as a dancer. It really it creates who you are. No, it was an amazing opportunity. And then, as you say, in the companies that I worked for, especially when I was in Ballet of Monte Carlo, I mean, we worked, with amazing. The choreographer, the main choreographer there is Jean-Christophe Maillot, but we did a load of Balanchine, a lot, maybe 15 Balanchine ballets, and Forsythe and Nacho Duato and John Neumier. I mean, I could go on forever. We were very, very fortunate to work with all these choreographers. It was wonderful. Yeah,
that's an amazing company. I've gone down there a couple of times to take class with some friends, and towards the end of my career, I was kind of fantasizing about joining that company, but unfortunately it didn't happen. But it's a great company, and Jean-Christophe is wonderful. He's wonderful to work for. He's a great person, and all good memories, all good, and all stuff to add into my toolbox. Yeah. And then moving to Israel and working with Batsheva, I mean, wow, talk about an incredibly creative company that has produced also a whole new generation of incredibly new and innovative choreographers as well.
Right,
come from that line. It's really amazing. So, wow, what a career! That's really impressive. Nice. So, what can you tell us about the company today? Ballet,
the Israel Ballet.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Israel Ballet today we have 30 plus dancers, and we have a mix of dancers. There are some foreigners, a lot of Israelis, and we're the only classical company in Israel that does the full productions, like Giselle. And actually, last September we had Natalia Osipova guesting with us.
Oh, great.
We were very, very fortunate. Yeah, she came and guested with us. It was amazing. She did 2 performances with us in the Opera House. We were just so lucky. Yeah, that was great. It was really good. But we do all the other full productions like Sleeping Beauty and the Nutcracker. And we've done more neoclassical kind of things like Madame Butterfly. And we have a very nice mixed neoclassical kind of program where there's the second act. We do the second act of Swan Lake, followed immediately by Andonis Foniadakis, the Greek choreographer's take on the darker side of Swan Lake. And we call that the White Swan and the Black Swan. Very, very, very successful evening. We also have a piece by the Israeli choreographer, very contemporary. She was ex-Batsheva, Sharon Eyal. She created a piece for us 2 years ago, and incredibly successful. Most of our tours abroad are with that. Also because it's a fairly small cast, it's not taking 30 dancers with all the costumes and the scenery that go with Sleeping Beauty or something like that. Yeah. It's only 18 dancers and it's very minimal costume and there's no scenery whatsoever. So obviously when impresarios or people want to take us, invite us abroad to dance, that's much easier to take. Yeah. So that's done very well. We've toured a lot, and actually because of COVID-19, we've missed a lot of tours of that. We should have been in Copenhagen and in Dortmund in June, which is a pity. And again in August in Bonn and in a place called Fürth in Germany in September, October. So maybe that will happen. Yeah. You never know. Yeah. But it was, no, it's been very successful, and it's been also a good mix with the neoclassical of Andonis Foniadakis, where we can put those two together, and it's an evening of neoclassical into kind of modern. So that's been quite good. So yes, it's a real pity that with COVID-19 we've missed these tours, because we were doing really well with Sharon Ayal's piece and with the Andonis Foniadakis piece. And like I said, it's about 4 tours that we would have missed, which is a pity. We do also, the company also does, of course, morning performances for educational purposes for kids that are brought in from school. We have things like Peter Pan and Mary Poppins we've done, and now we've got Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And the choreographers, we try to use in-house choreographers, our dancers who are very talented and do the choreography for these pieces, which is also a good opportunity for them to work with professional dancers and for us to actually start building up a choreographer within the company, because I don't choreograph myself. Artistic director, yes. Teacher, yes. Rehearsal director, yes. Lots of other things, but choreography I don't do. Even though I did at school, when I was at the school, I did choreograph, and I won a few prizes and competitions for choreography, but I wouldn't do it now.
It's fun to try. I've choreographed a few things for some school performances. It's really fun. I don't consider myself a choreographer either, but it's definitely.
Yeah, I mean those kind of things for school performances I will do, but on the company I don't see myself really doing that. But you never know. Things could happen after COVID-19. Maybe I will have to. I don't know.
Yeah, we're all reevaluating everything now.
Absolutely. I mean, there's going to be a lack of funding. There's going to be lots going on. So I just don't know what we're going to have to do. But so yes, Israel Ballet Company, that's our rep. We do a lot of sort of like community work as well. We take on projects for community centers and dancers that are young students that are unable to come and join us, because we have a school. It's a very important part of the Israel Ballet is the Israel Ballet School. It's doing very well. We have 7 levels, from the little ones, age kind of like 4 or 5, up into 18 plus. It's very, very important part of we see our future with the school, obviously, because it's going to be eventually feeding the company. Yeah. And it's building up very well. We're doing very well. But of course, there's always other dancers that are around Tel Aviv that are dancing in community centers, and they can't afford or they can't access our school. So we take on projects and we work with them, and our dancers work with them. And it's, of course, as much as the education program is important, community is also important. Yeah. So yeah, we do those as well.
Yeah,
that's a little bit about the Israel Ballet, yes.
Neat. Yeah, I noticed I was checking out your rep, and I noticed you guys also do quite a bit of Balanchine as well.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, less. We used to do, when I was dancing in the company, we used to do a lot. There was Concerto Barocco, and there was Serenade, and there was also Symphony in C I danced, and La Valse. Right. But after that point, things kind of changed, and the company didn't have the permission to dance a Balanchine piece during that whole time. Oh, interesting. So when I was given the job as artistic director, one of my first goals was to get in touch with the Balanchine Trust and get that permission back again. Because I know what a gift it is for dancers to dance Balanchine. Yeah. So there had been about 15 years of no Balanchine.
Okay.
But like I said, that was one of my first goals. Once I got the job as artistic director, I was very fortunate that there's an ex-Balanchine dancer, Susie Londoner, that lives in Tel Aviv. And she danced several years ago in New York City Ballet, and she worked with Balanchine.
Okay.
So she was in touch with the Balanchine Trust on a very personal level, and then I got in touch with them on sort of like more of a normal sort of like regular artistic director level, and we sent them videos of the company, and yeah, they granted us the permission again. We were able to pay for a license, and they granted us Serenade.
Oh,
so
great.
Susie then set Serenade on the company, which was wonderful. And that was also one of our performances that was supposed to happen. We were laid off because of COVID-19 on the 15th, 16th of March. And on the 18th of March, we were supposed to perform Serenade and Paquita in the same evening. So we still owe our audiences a Serenade.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a real shame. I mean, Balanchine, I'm American. So, I mean, for us, Balanchine is everything. If you can't do Balanchine, it's like,
Absolutely. I mean, when I was at the Royal Ballet School, my graduating, I mean, we had 2 or 3 years of what we call graduating performances when you're, and one of my years was that we did Concerto Barocco. And then in Ballet of Monte Carlo, we did Concerto Barocco twice. I mean, I can get up and do you all of Concerto Barocco now, no problem. It's in there. And also I did Serenade in the Ballet of Monte Carlo. I did Serenade in the Israel Ballet. And it's such a gift to the dancers, all these Balanchine pieces. And to have a company that doesn't dance Balanchine is very sad, I think. So I was very pleased really, really pleased with that we managed to get that going and get Serenade, and we performed it a few times. And like I said, on the 18th of March, there was supposed to be, I called that evening 4, because together with Paquita, it's 4 wonderful big artists, the 2 choreographers and the musicians. And we were supposed to perform 4 on the 18th of March, and it didn't happen. So we got to do that still.
Yeah. Is there any possibility of still doing it sometime later after?
I hope so. I mean, I hope when we all get back from this COVID-19 business, I mean, I don't exactly know how, because we haven't even got that far yet. We haven't got to, working on the performance schedule and deciding what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, because there's still so many limitations at the moment. They're talking about letting the audience only 100 audience members, or audience that can sit 1 seat and then 2 free seats and then 1 seat. It's all very, very complicated how we're actually going to manage. Will we need to perform in our studio? Because we have a beautiful studio. We have a big studio, 170 square meters, and it's also a black box of theater. We can bring the wings down, and we have a backdrop, and we have, like bleacher seats for the audience to sit on, and we can have 200 people in normal times. Normal times, we can seat 200 audience. So we do several performances. Again, as I was talking about the work for the community that we do for the community centers, they come in, and for schools, and we have many groups coming in to watch our day at work. They come in, one of our dancers or myself, we teach them a ballet class, and then they watch the company do ballet class, then they watch our rehearsals. Sometimes they have a workshop, and then they usually have a talk at the end of the day with myself and with a couple of dancers, and then they go home. So that's a day with the Israel Ballet. And all of that we can do also because we have our big studio with the bleacher seats, and we can perform, and they can sit there and watch us doing our daily work, our class and our rehearsals.
Oh, that's great.
And we can perform, and it's great. So I think that will probably be our way out of this kind of like disaster, is that before we go into theaters and start, because also the theaters, it needs to be financially viable for them to open a theater and yet only be able to sell 1/3 of the tickets. It's going to be challenging for them as well. I don't know whether it's going to be worthwhile for the directors of the theaters. So I think way before we're going to be into theaters again, we're going to be performing in our studio, which is a blessing that we have that wonderful studio, and we can perform there, and at least we'll be getting back on our feet that way, which is great.
Yeah, I've heard numerous directors talk about doing similar things. The director, Ted Branson, the director of the Dutch National Ballet, is also weighing a lot of the options. And it's the same
Right.
situation here. How do you get the theater back, but still staying safe and paying attention to these things that are very necessary.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of limitations, and of course we have to respect those.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, we need to get the arts back. We need to get dancers and artists and musicians. Oh, and that's my dog. Thank you, Henry. You can go out. Thank you. Go into the garden. Thank you, Henry. There was something very beautiful written the other day. I saw that actually each dancer or artist that you see on stage, behind him, there's a whole family of, there's the technical workers in the theater and the makeup artists and all the other people that work in the theater, the sales people, and then behind all of them, there's all their families.
Mm-hmm.
So apart from the dancer having that enormous desire to get back on stage and perform again, it's also a financial thing. We need to be able to finance all the artists and all their families that they are supporting with the fact that they can, work and earn money. So it's a whole big thing. We need to get the arts back on again. We really need to get the arts back into performing again. We'll see.
It's a big part of normalcy. I mean, people really want to get back to normal, and being able to go back to a theater to watch a performance and connect with an art form that people really love and everything is really a big part of that. Just getting back to normal and being a society again. Of course, nobody wants to be in this circumstance, but it's sort of a necessary thing. And it's just sort of like, where do we go from here? What's the current situation just as far on the national level in Israel with COVID-19?
Well, we're doing very well in the fact that our government sent us into lockdown very early.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers of fatalities are very low. It's around 300, I believe, which is nothing if you compare it to countries in Europe or to other countries even the same size as us. It's very low because we went into a very severe lockdown very early on.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, from sort of like the 15th, 16th of March, that was it. There was nothing. We were all home. And we were literally home. There was no going out. I mean, and we were even curfewed for a couple of evenings because it was big family holidays around Easter time, when here it's Passover. And we were actually curfewed at home. You were not allowed out until sort of 7 in.m. It was just really to stop people traveling around and going to families and infecting each other. So it worked because basically it's very low. And now slowly things are easing up. A lot of people have gone back to work. A lot of people are still working from home where they can. Mm-hmm. And the children are slowly going back to schools. The younger ones have gone back to school and they're keeping them in groups. The older ones have also, I think the last year 11 and 12 kind of have gone back to school as well because they have exams. Yeah. Universities have not gone back. And also the chunk in between of schools from sort of like age 10 up until about 14, which includes my son, have not gone back to school yet. Still getting a little bit of education at home, but not really. It's more like being, on a strange vacation. A few Zoom classes here and there, a little bit of homework, but
lots
not
of
really that.
Imagination.
Lots of free time and lots of, trying to get him doing other stuff. And we've started to do, sport. The minute we could get out, we started doing sports, and my husband would take him to play ping pong and run, and there are things that you have to do to get energy out.
Yeah.
But no, things are going slowly back. Even afternoon sort of like dance classes, and that with very severe limitations. You can only have, even in a big studio, you can only have 19 people, and you have to have still 2 meters between them, and you have to sort of like count 7 square meters per person. So we're lucky we have the Israel Ballet, a very big studio. We can, but even so, some of our groups are very big. One of the classes that I teach, level 6, is there's 30, 34. So if we start back next week, we're going to have to split them into 2 groups, and teach them separately. And you have to have so many limitations, but it is, slightly, it is starting to go back. So we're getting there. We're getting there slowly. but the arts, that's the problem. When will we be able to get into theatres? When we'll be able to perform? When will anything like that happen? I don't know, and no one can really say. But I'm optimistic, and a big concern, as far as I'm concerned, is that once we get through COVID, people have lost huge amounts of money. Are people going to have money to send their kids back to dance classes again? Are they going to have the money to buy tickets to come and see performances?
Yeah.
I just don't know. I really don't know. It's all a big question mark, but it's not just here, is it? It's all over the world.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the comforting factors, is that we're sort of in this big boat together,
Yeah, we're not alone, are we? No, not at all.
Misery loves company, but no, I think we're all pulling for each other as well. I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people around the world, and there is a big sense of togetherness right now that's very encouraging. And so we don't exactly know how we're going to get through it yet, but at least we know there's a strong community, there's a strong group of people who all want to work together towards a common goal. So it's refreshing in that sense. But has the Israeli government announced anything? What's the situation? Like in Europe, most of the finance comes from the government, whereas in the United States, most of it's private donation. How does that work in Israel, and has the government offered any compensation or anything?
Well, our funding comes from the government, and it also comes from the municipality of Tel Aviv, and a lot of it comes from our own ticket sales.
Okay.
So we are dependent on everything really. We've got the funding from the government, Tel Aviv, ticket sales, and of course patrons, private people giving donations. At the moment, the government has said that they will be giving money, but they haven't gone into detail about how much and when.
Okay.
So yeah, that's why we're so much up in the air. We can't even tell our dancers when we're going back to work. We have no idea.
Oh, wow.
We don't know, because obviously we can't go back to work. We can't bring the dancers back into the studio and get back to work unless we have some sort of an income. And if we can't perform, then we need support from the government. Because we will bring the company back to work, start rehearsing. After 2 months, we'll have no money, so to pay their salary. So it's better that we wait a little bit and hear what's going on with the government, and hopefully there will be some funding, and then soon enough we can start performing, and then hopefully we'll just get out of this.
Yeah, I'm sure that must be a real headache. I can't imagine directing a major company right now. Because like I said, I've seen a lot of the conversations, I've talked to a lot of people, and it's very stressful. But
it is extremely stressful, because as an artistic director, of course, you feel responsible for your dancers. You feel that you don't want to desert them, but it's actually not in our hands. Myself and the general director, it's not in our hands. There's nothing we can do about it. We just need to sit tight and wait until the government lets us know how much money we're going to get, what kind of funding we're going to get, and when we can actually, start performing, and then we can start giving our dancers some answers. And at the moment, they don't have any answers.
Yeah.
It's a shame. Yeah, they're all. But I'm trying not to have sleepless nights about it. I try to tell myself that COVID-19 was, not my responsibility, and but you do have sleepless nights about it, because they are, at the end of the day, they're your dancers, and you want them to be good. You want them to be well. You want them to be happy. You want to have them to be able to pay their rent and to feed themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the personal level with your employees and the people that you connect with and work with, but it's also a lot of people are very scared about the future of the art form as a whole. Some people are very worried that this could finally, just send the arts.
Finish us off. Yeah, I mean, which is a disaster. I mean, that just cannot happen, can it? I mean, I was also thinking about this summer. At the moment, normally people put aside money for going abroad, which at the moment doesn't look like anyone's going anywhere. I can't see that people are going on vacation in August, because I don't know where you can fly to and how the conditions of flight are going to be, how difficult, if you need to fly somewhere and need to be in quarantine. So I'm just really hoping that people are thinking to themselves, okay, especially here in Israel, I don't know about in Europe, but okay, we can't go abroad on vacation. So let's spend our money on doing fun stuff with the kids. Let's, let's go and see, go to a water park, go to a theme park, go and see a ballet, go and see a show. There are so many things. I'm hoping that's what people are going to do, because it's a concern. I mean, are people going to have money to buy tickets to performances? I don't know.
Yeah, but I think you're absolutely right in that respect, because I mean, I was looking at a report in the BBC just yesterday where they were interviewing the CEO of Thomas Cook, and it wasn't Thomas Cook, it was TUI, one of the big travel agencies, travel companies, and they were saying that nobody's going to be flying internationally now. So you are right; people will have at least that vacation money that they would have set aside.
Right.
Hopefully, as an industry, as an art form, can encourage them to stay home, stay local, and support your local arts organizations. I think that's a great sort of path to go towards, that we should all really consider heavily.
I've been reading, looking at posts and things in the UK about the Royal Ballet and the Birmingham Royal Ballet and the English National Ballet, and you think to yourself, they're now saying, I heard that Boris Johnson had said that maybe there will be performances, but behind closed doors with no live audiences. And I'm thinking, wow, it's just so tragic. It's so sad. I mean, the arts is such an important art form. It gives people so much pleasure, and it's so necessary. It's such a breath, of life. And for people, of course, it's not everyone's cup of tea. Not everyone likes dance. Not everyone likes ballet.
Sure.
But for those people that it is important to them,
yeah.
I can't imagine that having to wait until 2021 to actually go and see a live performance. I mean, that's a long time to wait.
Yeah, well, this kind of goes on to one of the themes that I've been talking about a lot with, especially on this video cast. And I think the great thing about what's happening right now, if there's a silver lining, is the fact that there's so much content now on the internet. And, we always want to stay true to what we are. We're a live performance. We don't ever want to get away from that. But we can enhance it and sort of spread out and introduce new audiences to our art form. You see how everybody's streaming performances online now. I mean, when in history has somebody in some country, I don't know where, just for instance, say Africa, been able to get on their mobile phone and watch the Paris Opera or the Metropolitan?
Right. No, it's special. It is special. It's something. Yeah, I mean, you're right. That's absolutely, it's new and it's special and it's something that's never happened before.
Yeah.
I mean, when New York City Ballet suddenly started putting up, they put up every weekend.
Their spring season.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, since when have you been able to see things like that? And like you say, I mean, Joe Bloggs somewhere in the world that can just sit there with his mobile phone and watch the ballet. It's so accessible.
Yeah.
And it is an interesting platform. I mean, I probably, like most people, was not familiar with Zoom before COVID-19.
Yeah.
Whoever heard of Zoom? And then, we were laid off on the 15th of March, and about 3 days later, I was contacted by someone and said, "Would you teach a ballet class on Zoom?" And I was like, "What's that? What is that?"
Yeah.
Okay, and then I sort of started learning about it and went on and had a look. Oh yeah, I can do this. Okay, fine, I can do this. So I did it, like the rest of the world. And now you've got, and also that, it's like the accessibility of watching all these dance companies putting classes from the Norwegian Ballet to Dutch National Ballet to the Australian Ballet. I mean, all over the world, putting their teachers online, giving exercises and classes. It's to die for. It's a dream.
Yeah.
The amount of knowledge that you can gain, and you can enrich yourself through this Zoom, through the internet, because of this, which would never have happened otherwise.
Yeah.
And you watch all these ballerinas giving online classes. It's just endless, and it's actually quite amazing. It's actually quite fabulous, the amount of information that's out there and how much you can get from it. And who would have thought?
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely the upside, the silver lining, and the plus side to all of this is the amount of art and ballet that you can see on the internet.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
And just how many people it's going to be exposing to the art form moving forward.
Right.
So, I mean, for now, it's great. I mean, But obviously, companies cannot continue to do this for much longer, continuing to throw things out on the internet.
No, no, it can't go on forever. And also, at some point, dancers do need to perform in front of an audience.
We need to get back to the audiences. We need to be live. But I like this. I like this digital road that we're going down because I think it can help supplement what we do as a profession.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I was thinking even, hopefully next week we're going to start classes back again, at least for the oldest students at the Israel Ballet School. And I was thinking of doing it simultaneously Zoom as well for those that can't make it, that can't come to the studio. And even for the dancers in our company that haven't maybe, I mean, with all those classes that are online, I'm sure they've all done a workout or a class or something during the day, but maybe they would like to do another one. I was thinking when I'll be teaching in the studio next week, I will take my computer along and Zoom as well simultaneously. I mean, it's definitely, you know, there's more, you know, it's a supplement, which is great, which is a good thing. And the fact that we can do interviews like this, that I can sit here and talk to you and you can talk to me, and we could have done it with Skype, yes, and we could have done it with a WhatsApp video call or FaceTime. It wasn't that it didn't exist, but this is just like, we're all into the Zoom now. It's fabulous.
I mean, I've been looking into this for a while because I've been wanting to do these types of interviews for a long time, but COVID-19 really sped up my process and really gave me a kick in the butt to get it done.
Yeah.
So,
had you interviewed people before COVID? You'd started before?
I started Ballet Rising well before, but I've been planning on doing these interviews in person and making films about it. But obviously now nobody's traveling anywhere right now. So I was like, oh, let's just do it from home on this program I've heard of called Zoom. And so I'm still
and bam.
back, but I want to get on the road. I really want to come to Tel Aviv someday. I want to go to back to India. I want to go back to Mexico. I want to just go to every country in the world where people have a drive to do ballet that's sort of outside of Europe and North America, and just.
I would love that. Would be great if you come to Tel Aviv. I'm very happy to welcome you at the Israel Ballet. You can come and watch us at work and see what we're doing, and hopefully see a performance. I mean, for such a small country, Israel, we have so much dance. I mean, there's so much dance here. A lot of it is contemporary, modern, very, very good contemporary and modern dancers in Israel. Sure. A lot of companies, a lot of freelancers and fringe. It's almost just like it's part of the Israeli DNA is to dance. A lot of choreographers, very creative choreographers. But as I said before, we're actually the only large company that does, big full productions. There is Panoff Ballet Company, which is smaller than us, and there's Jerusalem Ballet as well. But so there are other ballet companies, there are other ballet dancers, good ballet dancers in the country. But we're the only ones that can do something, for example, like a Balanchine or a Swan Lake or a Sleeping Beauty. So we would love to have you. We would welcome you with open arms. Come and visit us.
That would be really fun. Yeah, I've known a lot of Israeli dancers who danced here in Europe, and I've known a lot of other dancers who did spend time in dancing in Israel, and all really, really nice dancers. And I think I've seen some things here and there. You can tell Israel has a great, strong dance scene, and I mean, it's just an incredibly cultured country. I mean, nobody has to go into the history of Israel to talk about its relevance. It says it all itself.
It says it all itself, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's such a melting pot of countries as well. I mean, it's just, you've got so much exposure to so much culture from all around the world, and I think that's probably what makes it such an interesting country, and where all this dance and this art and this burning desire to create comes from. It's the mix. And you living in Amsterdam, I mean, there's loads of Israelis there as well, creating and teaching and dancing, and they're all over the world.
It's an incredible country. I went on vacation to Israel quite a few years ago. I flew down to Eilat and then did a road trip up to Jerusalem. Nice. Dead Sea and everything. It was
Dead Sea, nice. Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, I'm not particularly religious either. I'm not anti-religion, but just you're seeing the power of these places, standing on the Mount of Olives overlooking the city, and just just so powerful and so
It's
beautiful.
no, it's phenomenal because if you go from somewhere like Eilat through the Dead Sea and then you pass Masada and then you go on up to Jerusalem and then the further you go north, next time you come you'll have to go north and you go up to the Sea of Galilee and
Yeah.
to I mean it's just then it goes all green and it's all fertile being in the desert. I mean it's a very small country, but
Mhm.
you've got a bit of everything and that like you say, you don't have to be religious to feel the power. And it's all stuff that you read about as a child, places, Nazareth and Bethlehem. I mean, it freaked me out in the beginning, you know, suddenly you're seeing all these places that you read about as a child. I was like, what?
Yeah.
This is Nazareth, this is Bethlehem, and it's the donkey, and wow, yeah, no, it's amazing. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's a powerful country,
Mm.
and it's very different from the north to the south, which is interesting as well.
Yeah.
So you need to try and travel all over to get
Yeah.
the feel of the whole country.
Love to.
But definitely dance is way up. It's very important here. Very important part of our lives, part of the culture. So I believe that yes, we'll be back stronger than ever. And as you say, there's something very nice about the whole dance world that you do feel that everyone's pulling together. Everyone's going to get through this. All the companies are suffering.
Mm.
All the people that all the companies that had that premiere planned that didn't happen. Everyone's going through it the same, and now everyone's struggling, thinking how to get back with all the limitations. We're all in it together, which is very supportive. It's a good feeling. Yeah, the dance community is pulling together. That's for sure. The worldwide dance community.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I
Yeah.
think you kind of just said it, but I was going to ask you if you have any, like, if there's just one thing you'd love to say to the entire dance world about either yourself or about dance in Israel or just to the whole world arts community. Is there anything you'd love to just tell everyone?
Well, I think you're right in a way. I think I just said it in a way, sort of talking about the culture and the melting pot that is Israel. And young, brave Israelis, leave Israel and travel the world and go and dance in all kinds of places and quite often stay there, don't come back to Israel. And then there's others that it's home and they come back to Israel. Um, I think it's just that whole thing of now everything is so accessible. You're in Amsterdam, I'm in Tel Aviv, and we're talking, as if you were just next door. Everything is so accessible now, and I think that's what I would like to see continue is this collaboration and this feeling of togetherness and of all the companies reaching out a hand to help each other and to try and feel the warmth of the dance community and the love and the passion and just everybody bringing it all together. I think that's what it's all about. um, and I feel it a lot and I see it a lot and I think it's wonderful. I think it's marvelous. It's a great thing. And I think artists are special people, full of drama, full of love, and for better or for worse, that's what makes us who we are. And I think that's what makes everybody now, even though we can't hug and we can't kiss, it makes everybody pull together. Yeah, I think it's a special ballet is a special love, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, yeah, and here in Israel, like I said, it's we're there. Mostly people will know Israel for its contemporary dance, but we're up there with the Israel Ballet, and we intend to keep pushing the Israel Ballet forward and keep motivating and keep dancing and making ourselves bigger and more well known. That's what we're going to do.
Great. Well, I think I
Yeah,
have a strong suspicion you'll be highly successful, and that's what ballet rising is all about. It's really about helping. Well, just yeah, seeing how ballet can grow and spread, and more people can join, and just make this a truly global art form. I hate the idea that this is sort of an elitist European style art form. It's, people from every corner of the world and every background really fall in love with it for the same reasons. Um,
absolutely,
and so
absolutely.
it's yeah, a very,
Well, so see when I grew up in London and I was at the Royal Ballet School, it was at that point a little bit, not totally, but it was a little bit. It was certainly regarded as an elitist art. But I look now at the big companies all over the world, from New York City Ballet to the Royal Ballet to Paris Opera to whatever, all the projects that they're doing for, handicapped children, New York City Ballet, or for younger children, or just to get the audiences in there. I mean, what the Royal Opera House does with its afternoon teas and its, I don't know, some evening things they do. I mean, it's amazing. It's bringing the arts just to the level of the people so that anybody can fall in love with it. And I think it's absolutely, absolutely essential, because if it stays elitist, we're going to be missing out on half of the public, and like you said, anyone can fall in love with it. They just need to have access to it, to see it, and which is what we were talking about before, Joe Bloggs can open his mobile now and see, spring season of New York City Ballet. It's great. I think it's very important that it would not be elitist, very important. And I admire all the big companies with all the things, all the projects that they're doing for younger children or less, wealthy children. They're opening their doors and they're doing all kinds of projects. I think it's great, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, wow, thank you so much. It was really, really wonderful speaking with you. I hope we get to speak again. There's probably.
I hope so. I will be happy to speak to you again once we're back and working again, and once COVID-19 is over, and then I can tell you how we got back and how we managed it and what we're performing, and tell you a little bit more about the company and what we're up to. I would be very happy to do that.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. I would love to just sit and talk more about your company at some point and just really discuss, Israeli people and culture and the future of the art form in the country. And so, yeah, we'll definitely get together. We'll catch up and see how things are progressing. But until then, thank you so much. That was a really wonderful conversation.
Pleasure. Thank you so much. I was very honored to be asked, and it was a pleasure to have a chat with you. Really nice.
Good. Well, okay. Well, take care, and thanks again.
Pleasure. Bye, Casey. Bye.